Okay, why doesn't McDonald's sell hot dogs? Sell everything else. No hot dog? Come on. Okay, I keep hearing about horror story after horror story after horror story about a used gear deal gone bad. A trade or a deal was agreed upon by two different parties involving somebody's used gear, both people's used gear, and one of the other party inevitably gets screwed. Here's the thing. I have been trading and selling used gear for many years. And the things that I'm going to talk about in this video have never happened to me. Never. So today we're going to talk about 8 do's and don'ts of the used gear market. Let's get to it. Number 1, do not make long distance trades via the shipping companies. You know, I'm talking about FedEx and UPS and US Mail, whatever it may be. Okay, don't just, if it's one thing if you know the individual, and you're shipping the dude a guitar and he's shipping you another guitar back in return. Like if you have a personal relationship with him, that's one thing. But if we're talking about Joe Rock and Roll Guy and your favorite Facebook group, and you're going to trade your guitar for his guitar, you're just going to ship them, and everybody's going to come out grand. If you do business this way, you are absolutely a stupid individual, and you deserve to get your guitar ripped off, because I have heard so many stories about this happening between two people. Oh, well, he agreed he was going to send me his, and I never got a tracking number, and then meanwhile I shipped my guitar. Well, no shit. What the hell did you think was going to happen? Come on, people, use your brains. You have no protection when doing this. None whatsoever. Do not ship a guitar on somebody else's word. Do not. Number 2, if you're selling a piece of gear, do cover the seller's fees. This is your responsibility. This is how business is conducted. Every single store that you walk into, and I'm not just talking about about guitar shops or any place that sells gear. I'm talking about any retail location or any business for that matter. When those organizations sell you a product or a service, there are fees involved, and it is the seller's responsibility to cover those fees. I'm talking about the listing fees and stuff on eBay. I'm talking about the transaction fees for PayPal or Venmo, whatever whatever it may be, that kind of stuff. If you are considering doing business with an individual who's demanding that you pay their PayPal fees and all that kind of stuff, walk. Why? Because you're being taken advantage of, and it's not fair. The reason why it's not fair is because the trade-off for this is that the buyer is almost always responsible for the shipping costs, which are as much, if not more, than the selling fees. If you're selling a piece of gear and you demand that the buyer cover your costs for selling your gear, you are a douchebag. Number 3, this is the one that prompted this video. Do not proxy another individual to secure your used gear deal in their market. In other words, if you're trying to secure a piece of gear, a guitar or something that's in a different city from where you are, and even if it is your greatest, bestest, brand newest buddy from your favorite Facebook group that says, hey, I'm in that city, I'll go down and pick it up for you. You just send me a label and I'll ship wherever it needs to go. Number 1, you're taking advantage of somebody else, and that ain't cool. Number 2, especially if it's something that you intend to resell, how in the hell are you going to be able to guarantee its condition? You've never physically seen it in person, much less gotten your hands on it to try it out and make sure it does everything that it's supposed to do. That puts you at risk with your potential buyer, and why the hell would anybody buy that? Oh yeah, I've got this really cool Schecter guitar here that it's a pretty good condition, I think. Are you sure you have any pictures? No. You wouldn't buy that thing. Neither would I. Neither would anybody else. Why would you expect? Why would you expect somebody to buy it from you? I heard about this here just in this past week. A buddy of mine sent me a message on Facebook and said he had secured a piece of gear for somebody else in another part of the country. Was only supposed to have it for a week or so while he's waiting on a label. Meanwhile, 2 months go by. He's got this thing. It's sitting in his house, taking up space. It's supposed to be gone a long time ago. Meanwhile, the other guy who said he was going to resell it hadn't seen it or laid eyes on it or anything for but since I don't know, I assume it was paid for, I don't know, unless it's a friend or a family member or something like that in that in another market that you're putting up. Don't make other people handle your responsibilities. Oh, well, the seller wasn't willing to ship it. Well, tough shit. Go figure out something else that doesn't involve putting somebody else at risk. Number 4, do not make a lowball offer. If you're considering making an offer on a used piece of gear on whatever platform it may be, don't be a douchebag. They've got it priced that way for a reason. Yes, I recognize that there are people trying to get way more for their gear than it's worth all over the place. It is not your civic duty to try to get them to sell it for half of what they need out of it. And I use the term need because there's a lot of people that sell this stuff, that buy and sell and resell this stuff for a living, especially in the current economic climate. Not too many people out there willing to lose their shirt on a used amp or guitar out there. If you see something out there that's overpriced, look, I get it. Just don't be a dick. Keep on scrolling. Keep looking for something else. Because the fact of the matter is, you have absolutely no idea what the seller's motivation for pricing something the way that they priced it might be. Number 5, do clearly disclose everything about the gear that you're selling. Condition, authenticity, all that kind of stuff. How many horror stories have we all heard about somebody that bought some, vintage guitar and they received it and all of a sudden they discovered after they received it, it had all kinds of modifications in it. I can't believe I even have to say this, but God, I've seen it so many times. Joe Rock and Roll Guy is selling a guitar to Jim Rock and Roll Guy, and Jim receives a guitar that he thought was a 1987 Charvel. And he receives a guitar that is, in fact, a 1987 Charvel. It's got a cracked headstock and a couple of replaced pickups and a preamp installed they didn't know was in it. And, bridge has been replaced and, all kinds of other stuff that conveniently did not turn up in the photos. This is severe misrepresentation. Pretty sure it's illegal here in the U.S., and I've seen people get law enforcement involved in this. So if you're gonna do it, well, number 1, you're a douchebag, but number 2, if you're gonna do it, also makes you pretty stupid. And honestly, I hope you go to jail. Number 6, do not. And this is one of the ones that bugs the shit out of me the most. Do not ever, 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 ever send funds via PayPal, friends and family, unless it is actually friends and family. Period. Do not send PayPal funds via friends and family, even if the seller demands it. Why? Because this is your protection. Sending funds via friends and family means that, number 1, the seller's trying to get out of paying the seller's fees, and I already talked about that asshole earlier. But number 2, that's your protection. If you send funds, friends, and family, you are foregoing the option of PayPal ever backing you up on anything if this transaction goes bad. That's what the business option is for, and that is why it is the seller's responsibility to pay those fees. Because this is protection for both of you. If for some reason that, even from the seller's perspective, when I'm selling stuff, I always make sure people pay me via, business rather than friends and family. Why? Because again, it's my responsibility to pay the seller's fees. And number 2, if something goes wrong, if the seller decides he's going to start, complaining to eBay or something, that I sold him something that was, I did do something, whatever it is on my end, to hold up my end of the bargain, the transaction. PayPal, which in this case, this is the forum that the money is being exchanged on. PayPal is going to protect both of us. Do not let some douchebag seller talk you into giving up your protection. If you have to work out something where you pay a little bit more so that you can send it via business instead of friends and family, you make that call. Even though I think that's also a douchebag move, but this is extremely important, and I see it all the time. Number 7, if you are a buyer and you are looking to buy a particular piece of used gear, do your research. Do your market research. Figure out what a fair price for whatever piece of gear it is that you're after is actually going to be. Okay? And there's lots of different tools out there that you can use to do this. eBay completed listings is still far and away the most accurate representation of a particular item's value on the used market. Okay? It's very easy. You search for the piece on used gear, you go over to the left-hand column and you search for completed listings, and then it'll pull up every single completed transaction, both sold and not sold, that has occurred in recent history. It's not going to pull up a bunch of stuff from 6 years ago that doesn't matter anymore. All of those transactions it pulls up are recent history. That's telling you what people are actually paying for these items, not what people are asking for them, not what somebody's hoping that you're stupid enough to pay for it. What people are actually paying for it, which is what it is actually worth. This is also going to arm you with information from somebody else trying to hike up their prices to get you to cover their selling fees. Keep in mind. That's what a lot of times, that's what this, when somebody's got something overpriced, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make you pay their selling fees. So before you make any decision to go into business with anybody, make sure that you are armed with all of the information that you are possibly going to need about the particular piece of gear that you are interested in. Number 8, do not assume that you are entitled to somebody else's good fortune. This means if you happen to know somebody that and a particular piece of gear that they might be selling, and you happen to know that they got a really, really, really good deal on that piece of gear, probably better than they ever should have, that doesn't mean that you're entitled to the same fucking deal, dude. Come on. Okay, if you follow my channel for a while, you're probably all familiar with my cherry-colored Explorer. Full disclosure, I got that guitar in a trade straight across, and I think I traded for it December 2015, and that guitar is a 2016, so it was virtually brand new. I got that guitar in a straight across trade for a Schecter Blackjack, of which I had 2 of. You guys have also seen my Blackjack on my channel many, many times. I had 2 of those, and I traded one of them straight across for the Explorer because the other guy contacted me on, I don't remember where I had it in the Craigslist. I think I had it listed, and that's what he offered me, straight across. So I took it. Those deals don't come across every day. I'd be stupid if I passed it up. And again, full disclosure, I got that Blackjack from a buddy of mine who was, when I was away from the MI business for a few years, another buddy of mine who was still in it got me a really, really slamming deal on it. Well, lo and behold, a couple years later, he decided he was going to make me a really, really, really lowball offer on the Explorer. Number 1, it wasn't for sale. Number 2, my good fortune is, is not something he's entitled to. Love the guy. This isn't personal, but that's bullshit. Make a fair offer for the gear that you're making an offer on. Come on. There you are. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. I'm going to brag here for a second because once upon a time, back in my store days, one thing I was really, really, really good at was working the used market, both buying and selling. To give you an idea, we had a store that did, I don't know, probably $2 or $3 million, and probably at least a couple $1 million in used sales a year. And one year, I think it was 2011, I bought and sold more used gear than the rest of the store staff combined. I got pretty good at this, and and quite honestly, that's a statistic that I will always be proud of. They gave me a plaque for it at the end of the year that I'm kind of proud of. I got it around here somewhere. But I wanted to pass along some of the things that I've learned here in this video so people can quit making, quite honestly, a lot of these mistakes are very, very easily avoided boneheaded mistakes. And, let's face it, that's what they are. If you don't want to admit it, I'm sorry. That's what they are. If you lost a guitar in a long-distance trade because you shipped a UPS, the other guy didn't ship his like he promised, that's on you, dude. Sorry. Do the YouTube thing, like, subscribe, all that nonsense down there below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.